tackling a sticky situation moms may face. What should you do if you suspect a friend's child has a problem? We're putting the question to an expert, therapist Julie Hanks. So the big question, should you jump in out of care, out of love, or should you hold back?
Well, it really depends on how close you are to this friend, first of all. So if it's a really, really close friend, then yeah, bring it up. If it's more of an acquaintance, you know, it may be better to hold back a little bit more.
So some scenarios this could fall under. Give us some scenarios.
Yeah, so say your child is playing with another child and they're aggressive, maybe hitting too much, or you have some concerns. If it's a good friend, you'd want to bring it up, but no matter who it is, you want to do it in an emotionally neutral way.
What does that mean?
That's like, hey, I've noticed this. You know, I just wanted to let you know. So people tend to get really defensive if you come at them with you statements. Your kid is bullying my child and we're not going to play, right? They're going to get defensive.
You immediately feel it kind of build up inside.
I've noticed this, or I'm concerned about this, and I wanted to let you know. So you're not making any accusations, it's just FYI.
I like that phrase, emotionally neutral, because sometimes these situations, a child getting defensive or beating up on your own kid, or maybe you're observing some medical or behavioral, you know, exhibitions that you're nervous about, those can be emotionally charged situations. Oh,
and for moms, I mean, this is your baby, you've poured your heart and your soul and your life into this child, so it's sometimes hard for moms to receive that feedback. So emotionally neutral is really important.
I like that. You say before going into these conversations, another question to ask yourself or to assess before you bring up the topic is, how has this friend or neighbor handled this in the past?
Yeah, so in the past, if they've been open to feedback, then it's more likely that they'll be open to feedback about their child. But if they haven't, then it's, you know, your comments or your concerns may fall on deaf ears. So if they've been open in the past, then it's, I would say bring it up. And a good thing to remember, Brooke, is you can ask, say, hey, I have some feedback about your child. Are you open to that? Because then if they say yes, then it's like, okay, they've opened the door and let you in.
And that's a nice way to knock on the door before you know what I mean? It's kind of set the stage before you plow right in with your observations. I like that.
Right, and so there are times where you may observe as an outsider some, like, I think that child seems like they have ADHD or maybe autistic tendencies. So there are some serious behavioral things going on that you think they need to really get some professional help for this, right? So if you ask, hey, are you open to feedback? I've noticed some things. Are you open to feedback? And then you can open that door.
So your first two questions kind of deal with assessing your friend's state of being or state of mind. Is there any self-check involved here? Do we need to check our own motives?
Yeah, and this is tough. What is your intent? I think that's really important, to be honest with yourself. There's a tendency as parents to get competitive or to compare your child to, oh, well, my child isn't as aggressive as theirs, or my child doesn't have these same problems. But what is your intent? And if it's really to help this child, then that's a good sign. So for example, say your child said, hey, you know, this kid's cheating on tests at school to get straight A's. Okay, are you going to bring that up to their parent because you want to make your child look good? Like, oh, my child does. Or is it just, I'm really concerned about this behavior?
So sometimes those motives can actually be selfish.
They can, and we don't like to look at that. I don't like to look at that. But I think it's really important to check yourself and what's your intention.
What is your intention? Your next question, does this directly impact your child or your family? That can get to your own intentions.
Right, right. So if your child is directly impacted, it's really important to bring it up, because your job is first to protect your child and your family, and second, to preserve your outside relationships. Right? So this happened a couple of weeks ago. My 5-year-old said, some friends asked if I would show them my private areas. And I told them no. And I was like, oh, well, that's good. But that's a common thing for preschool age kids to, you know, be curious about genitalia, right? And so I just mentioned it to the mom. Said, hey, FYI, you know, my daughter said this, and just thought you might want to keep an eye on things and make sure the doors are open and that kind of thing.
How was it received?
Fine, just fine. Because I didn't say, you know, you're a kid. It was age appropriate. Their peers. It wasn't like an older child.
Right, right.
Because then it gets into kind of a potential abuse situation.
So she kind of embraced your casual tone and matter of fact
hey,
approach.
FYI, yeah, and we still play together, but we keep a closer eye on it.
Good to
because
know.
that impacts my child.
Right, right. So you can assuredly go forward knowing that that affects your family.
Exactly.
What if it's, I mean, down the road, if you consider a situation maybe a little more serious, even dangerous, you suspect a neighbor's son might be dealing, involved in drugs or some sort of
drinking
dangerous
and driving.
behavior. Yeah.
Where it's actually a public safety issue or a health issue, I think it's important to bring it up. There are some topics that will be really hard for parents to hear, but it's worth actually risking the friendship over. And it's hard and it's painful and it's hard for parents to hear. So in that situation, an anonymous note might be a good idea. Hey, just wanted to let you know this. And it's okay to put those friendships at risk if your intent is really to help this child and to make sure that the public is safe. I mean, the drinking and driving or driving under any kind of influence is a big one. Or having unprotected sex with multiple partners, or you hear that someone was sexually assaulted and you don't think the parents know. I mean, these are all big, serious things that you need to bring up, even if the parent doesn't like you for a while.
Yeah, the bold reality could be you lose a friend in the process, but hopefully you do some good.
Yeah, because we need to protect our kids and watch out for each other's children.
All right, good advice. Emotionally neutral is our goal.
Emotionally neutral.
Thanks, Julie. Hey, when we come